Vladimir Putin's upcoming summit with Donald Trump in Budapest faces significant challenges, particularly regarding travel restriction and legal hurdles. Due to existing EU and NATO sanctions, the logistical hurdles are equally formidable. Russian state aircraft are barred from flying through EU and NATO airspace, forcing any flight carrying Putin to undertake a circuitous 5,000-kilometer detour through non-aligned or friendly airspace, such as Turkey and Serbia. This route traverses the volatile Black Sea region, where recent military activity and the risk of airspace violations add layers of danger and unpredictability. Security analysts note that even minor miscalculation during such a flight could trigger unintended escalation, particularly given the heightened alert status of NATO air defenses in southern Eastern Europe. Compounding these travel complexities, an International Criminal Court (ICC) arrest warrant for Putin remains active. EU officials have clearly stated that if Putin were to arrive in Hungary, the nation would be legally obligated to detain him. Despite these mounting obstacles, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has publicly affirmed that preparations for the summit are underway, emphasizing Hungary's role as a platform for peace. The prospect of this unsanctioned meeting between the Russian and US president has caused considerable consternation in Brussels, with EU officials privately expressing concerns that the gathering could become a political nightmare, given the exclusion of the European Union from the negotiating table. The summit's potential to strengthen Hungary's pro-Russia stance while simultaneously exposing diplomatic rift within the EU is growing concern among international observers. On the battlefield, Russia has intensified its military pressure in eastern Ukraine, similarly using force to strengthen its negotiating position ahead of the proposed Budapest talks. On October 18th, Russian forces recently conducted using the UMPB-5R rocket-powered guided aerial bomb strike on Lozova in Kharkiv Oblast, an attack that injured 5 people and damaged residential properties. The strikes, carried out with a UMPB-5R bomb launch from Russian-occupied territory, demonstrated a range of 130 kilometers and has prompted a patrial investigation into potential war crimes. In response to these developments, Dmitry Medvedev, Russia's top security official, highlighted ongoing upgrades to Russia's long-range precision weapons capabilities. On the diplomatic front, Vladimir Putin has put forth specific demands. According to multiple Western media outlets, including the Washington Post and the Independent, Putin explicitly demanded full control over the entirety of Donetsk Oblast during a recent 2-hour phone call with President Trump. In exchange, Moscow reportedly offered to withdraw from parts of Zaporizhia and Kherson regions it has occupied since 2022 but struggled to hold militarily. This proposal has been met with outrage in Kyiv and among European allies, who viewed it as an attempt to legitimize conquest through coercion. President Donald Trump has urged both sides to stop the killing and make a deal, suggesting that a diplomatic resolution is paramount. Germany has reaffirmed its commitment to providing continued financial, political, and military support to Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky. This contrasts sharply with statements from Russian envoy Michael Yulinov, who has characterized the EU and NATO's stance as a determination to continue fighting until the last Ukrainian, indicating deep divisions in approaches to ending the conflict. In a televised interview with Maria Bartiromo on Fox News, Trump indicated that he believes Putin is genuinely interested in ending the war, but only if Ukraine concedes certain territories. Notably, Trump remarked that Putin has won certain property, a phrase interpreted by analysts as tacit acceptance of Russia's annexation of Ukrainian land. These remarks followed a 2-hour phone call between Trump and Putin, as well as a tense meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington. According to the Financial Times, the meeting grew heated at points, with Trump discarding battlefield maps in frustration and pressing Zelensky to accept what he framed as a pragmatic path to peace. Zelensky, however, firmly rejected any territorial concessions, reiterating Ukraine's commitment to sovereignty and full restoration of its 1991 borders. Reports from The Independent and The Washington Post suggest that during his call with Trump, Putin specifically demanded Ukraine's surrender of the Donetsk region. Furthermore, Trump has shown reluctance to supply Ukraine with long-range Tomahawk missiles, emphasizing instead the importance of keeping the U.S. fully stocked. This approach has sparked a debate among international observers, with some viewing it as a potential diplomatic breakthrough and others raising concerns about the dangerous precedent it might set for international territorial integrity. Dmitry Medvedev, Russia's top security officials, issued a stern warning to Kyiv, describing the Ukrainian leadership as war camp cronies and predicting their imminent collapse. Medvedev criticized Western efforts to arm Ukraine, asserting that weapons alone cannot reverse the political and military unraveling of Zelensky's government. He urged Kyiv to engage directly in peace talks with President Donald Trump, stressing that continued resistance would only hasten their downfall. Medvedev's blunt assessment underscored the perceived limitations of Western support in the ongoing conflict, painting a grim picture for Nato, the EU, and Zelensky's allies. Russian President Vladimir Putin delivered a strong address at RT 20th anniversary celebration at Moscow's Bolshoi Theater, where he accused Western media of propagating falsehoods and monopolizing global narratives. Putin lauded RT for its role in defending the truth and claimed that Western news organizations often mislabeled terrorists as rebels. He asserted that Russia's media sovereignty is an integral component of its national strength and pledged that the voice of truth, the voice of Russia, must be louder. This speech underscored Russia's commitment to shaping its own media landscape and narrative in the face of international criticism. Concurrently, Russia reportedly deployed a new rocket-powered guided aerial bomb, the UMPB-5R, in fresh strikes on Kharkiv Oblast, an action signaling an escalation amidst stalled U.S.-Ukraine discussion. According to the Kyiv Independent, this advanced bomb, capable of traveling over 130 kilometers, struck a residential area in Lozova, injuring several civilians. This attack occurred just a day after Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Washington, where he was unsuccessful in securing Tomahawk cruise missiles. Following a phone call with Vladimir Putin, U.S. President Donald Trump appeared to shift his focus towards diplomacy over arms transfer, further complicating Ukraine's effort to acquire advanced weaponry. Hours before Zelensky's arrival in Washington, Putin reportedly surprised Trump by demanding full control of the Donetsk region as a prerequisite for ending the war, offering a partial withdrawal from Zaporizhia and Kherson in exchange. This proposal ignited outrage in Kyiv and among European allies, who characterized it as akin to selling your own leg for nothing. While Zelensky met with Trump at the White House, Putin reiterated his condition, stating that Kyiv must surrender this key territory to end the three-year conflict. Trump in turn stated, "We'll get the war over without thinking about Tomahawks," while Putin warned that supplying the missiles would undermine peace prospects. The timing of this new Russian strike, utilizing a previously undeployed weapon, underscored Moscow's defiance and highlight Kyiv's increasing isolation as diplomatic and battlefield pressures converge. Following Trump's combat freeze peace call, Russia launched a significant barrage on Ukraine, striking cities across Kharkiv and Donetsk with over 268 guided bombs and causing widespread power outage. Moscow's latest drone and missile attacks targeted energy grids and civilian infrastructure, testing Trump's fragile ceasefire proposal. As Zelensky urged an immediate truce, Putin's force continued to expand their control on the front line. Vladimir Putin has positioned Donetsk as central to his high-stake peace effort, demanding that Kyiv surrender full control or face severe consequences. As Moscow consolidates its gain near Avdiivka and Kramatorsk, Putin signals that any lasting peace will be on Russia's term. The Washington Post has revealed exclusive detail of this ultimatum and the Kremlin's strategy. With President Donald Trump engaged in tense diplomatic maneuvers and Zelensky seeking avenue to bring Putin to the negotiation table, the world watches a critical showdown unfold, with the stakes potentially reshaping the future of the region. The geopolitical implications of the Budapest summit extend far beyond the immediate fate of the Ukraine war. If it proceeds, the meeting would effectively bypass the European Union and NATO, reinforcing Hungary's role as a conduit for Russian interests within the Western alliance. Orban's government has long cultivated close ties with Moscow, opposing EU sanctions and blocking consensus on military aid to Ukraine. A direct Putin-Trump negotiations in Budapest would validate this approach, potentially encouraging other EU member states to pursue bilateral deal with Moscow, thereby fragmenting European policy. Meanwhile, Russia continues to exploit division within the West, portraying itself as a reasonable actor open to talks while casting the EU and NATO as warmongers intent on prolonging the conflict until the last Ukrainian. As Russian envoy Mikhail Yulinov recently claimed, this narrative finds receptive audiences in parts of the American political spectrum where war fatigue and isolationist sentiment are growing. Compounding these dynamics, Trump's domestic position remained volatile. Despite the lack of immediate arms commitment, Zelensky noted that Trump did not issue a definitive no on future support, leaving a narrow opening for continued dialogue. If you have made it this far, congratulations, you have unlocked the truth. I want to ask you a quick question though. Given the extreme legal and logistical barrier from the ICC arrest warrant to EU airspace bans, do you believe the Budapest summit between Trump and Putin will actually proceed? And why? Join the debate. We want to hear your insightful opinion on where this is all heading in our community. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video, hit the notification bell, and most importantly, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.